Hello everyone, and welcome back to another Kerbal Space Program 2 video. Yeah, I know it's weird, I kind of said, hey, I'm going to do more KSP 1 content, but then there's just been so much stuff happening in KSP 2 that I feel like, at the moment, when it comes to striking the balance between Kerbal Space Program 1 and Kerbal Space Program 2 content, I'll kind of default to KSP 1, but whenever there's something significant happening in the world of KSP 2's development, I'll make a KSP 2 video. So, what in the world is happening in the world of KSP 2's development that prompted this video? Well, let me tell you, you guys probably know. Patch 1.5 is out, and it includes many performance updates and bug fixes, as well as a few new things. Firstly, some new grid fins, SpaceX style, which I didn't include in this video, apologies. I'll probably have to do a Falcon 9 or Starship recreation at some point to celebrate the addition of those. Also, by the way, you can see I was really struggling to build an interstage fairing here. I just wanted the lander can to be inside its own little fairing, but for whatever reason, I couldn't get the fairing to be built. Now, just disclaimer, this rocket is being built in the pre-patched version of the game. My internet was down when I built it, so I'm like, I'm going to build the rocket, and then when the internet's back, I will then upgrade the game to the latest patch and then film the mission. So the build time-lapse will be the previous version of the game, and then you might be seeing like testing the rocket and stuff, and that's the previous version. Then when it comes to the mission itself, that'll be the newest version. So if anything, great opportunity to see how the two versions compare, because it's not just performance upgrades and new parts being added, but also new atmospheric effects. As you may well be aware, BlackRack, creator of the popular mod Scatterer, among other things like the popular volumetric clouds mod for KSP 1, has been hired by Intercept Games and is now working on Kerbal Space Program 2, and let me say he's got off to a great start developing this game. The new atmospheric effects look brilliant. So here's a little clip of me testing this rocket, a bit wobbly as you can see, but yeah, this is what KSP 2 looked like, right? Nothing to really comment on there, but this is what the game looked like, right? We could, I guess, just fade across now to the continuation of the build. But when it comes to doing the flight for reals, it'll be on the latest patch of the game, and you can see how the new atmosphere compares. Which brings me to what we're actually doing on this mission. Because it's not just Kerbin's atmosphere that has received some love, but also every other planet's atmosphere. Well, I guess, planets that have atmospheres, so Duna, Eve, Laythe, yeah, Laythe's not a planet, but whatever, same sort of thing. Celestial bodies with atmospheres have had some love. And one of the cool things about Mars, which I don't know if you can know this, guys, but Duna in KSP, it's actually based on Mars, a real-life planet. But Mars has an interesting little quirk at sunset. So sunsets on Earth, as you might be aware, are orange. On Mars, they're blue. And that's because Mars has a different balance of gases in its atmosphere. So Earth's atmosphere, it scatters more blue light, which means more red light is left behind when the sun is near the horizon. Before I continue on this, by the way, I'm just going to accelerate forward to a Duna transfer window, which we can all sing along at this point, I bet. Draw a line from Kerbin to the sun to Duna. Oh, the angle that line forms at the sun should be 45 degrees. That's what I was doing there. And speaking of angles, for whatever reason, the time warp made my rocket lean at a bit of an angle, so that was a bit of a shame. But hey, look at that beautiful atmosphere in the background. You'll get a good look of that as we launch. But yes, Mars's atmosphere has got very high CO2 levels, which makes it much better at scattering red light, so that you mostly see blue light when the sun is near the horizon. And that's why Martian sunsets, and I guess sunrises, are blue. And that's what I wanted to check out in this game. Will Duna sunrises and Duna sunsets be blue? Let's go find out. We do need to get to Duna, so let's launch. Yeah, somewhat of a sketchy takeoff there, I guess, owing to the fact that this rocket is a bit wobbly and the aforementioned weird tilts that it ended up being sat at upon launch. But look at that beautiful atmospheric scatter. It's a shame that we happen to be launching at a time where there are no clouds in the sky, but the clouds, they are still here. You get a good look at those as we re-enter Kerbin's atmosphere at the end of this mission. And yeah, here we are. I'm launching. I like kind of these SLS style launches, with the two big SRBs with the big central core, and I like messing around with the colors, having like a blue SLS or a green SLS. What color SLS shall we have next? Hash it out in the comments below if you want. The payload was clipping a bit through the fairing. I know I kind of said all the rockets wobbly, and it's kind of my fault that we have this big long fairing. But if you recall, wasn't actually my plan to have a fairing this big, right? I was just trying to have a little interstage fairing to cover up the lander, and the main rocket ship would have been exposed to the atmosphere. It wouldn't have been inside a fairing, but I couldn't build the interstage fairing properly. So I don't know, maybe that's patched in 1.5, but when I built this in 1.4 point whatever, it wasn't. And there we are. Yeah, very, very noodly. I'm very excited for patch number, I don't know what number, 0.2, whatever. The one that has the Force Science update. It's going to include a big fix to wobbly rockets. The team has implemented a similar system to auto strut. From what I gather, from what they announced, we don't have to like tell the game which parts we want to be auto strutted. The craft will just automatically auto strut itself. I think, don't know, haven't played the Force Science update. But yeah, either way, wobbly rockets should have a massive fix in the Force Science update. But for now, they are unfortunately still very much with us. And here you can see, speaking of the rocket, oh, yep, and the fairing glitch is still there. I heard that if you change the ejection force of the fairing, that weird deployment glitch doesn't happen, but as you can see, it still happens. So if anyone does actually know how to cheese your way around that glitch, do let me know in the comment section down below. And of course, if you are enjoying the video so far, just leave a little like as well. It really helps me keep my head above water in the old algorithm and all that stuff. Anyway, as you can see, I am actually doing an Apollo-style mission. Haven't done one of these in a while, just because I am so scared of docking ports in this game. They do tend to be very unreliable at the best of times, and I just don't really trust them. But I thought, you know, maybe we've had a few performance fixes, new patch especially. Maybe docking ports are a bit less dangerous. And they aren't perfect, but there weren't any like major game-breaking glitches associated with the docking ports for this mission. But I designed it very carefully. Like, that's a very, very lightweight lander, so there's not much mass to wobble around on that docking port joint. I don't think my confidence in docking ports is quite at the point where I'd be willing to construct multiple launch, you know, big interplanetary colony vessels, or, you know, just ambitious missions. Like, I'm a big fan of doing EVE missions in multiple launches because of the size of the lander required. Usually it's easier to send the lander up to low Kerbin orbit in one launch and then launch the rest of the ship in another launch. I don't think we're quite really there yet for KSP 2, just because of the lack of auto strut and the fact that joints are still quite wobbly. But hopefully, again, with the Force Science update, maybe that changes. Maybe I could do an EVE mission. I really want to do an EVE return mission, but honestly, I don't think I can. My sanity can take that right now. I know there are a couple of EVE missions on YouTube of people, you know, doing EVE return missions in KSP2, and it's always quite telling that, like, all the comments are not, wow, congratulations, EVE returns are really difficult. It's, wow, I can't believe you managed to do that in KSP2 given the state of the game. And that's kind of my thoughts as well. Like, wow, you must hate yourself to put yourself through that. And I would really like to do an EVE return mission. So maybe if the game is much more stable with Force Science, I'll do an EVE return mission. And possibly even do some tutorials. I used to make a lot of tutorials for Kerbal Space Program 1, but for Kerbal Space Program 2, I feel like most people who play this game at this point are kind of diehard fans, because it's no secret that it's a very, very early access game. And I just think that people who are like new to the game are better served with KSP1 right now, because it's just more stable, so it's a bit more reliable. I've heard that KSP2's like new user experience, like with the tutorials, is really, really good, but I just think the stability of the game is what's holding it back there for new players. In fact, it's funny, I was at Space Creator Day in October, and I met a couple of people who found my channel, obviously, because they were looking at how to play KSP, and they started with KSP2. And then I had to just give them a hug saying, I'm very sorry that happened to you. And pretty much all of them have now transitioned to KSP1. So, yeah, it's a shame. KSP2 it's got so much there. Like, it's just, when I was playing the game earlier today, recording this mission, I got my little Kerbals out on the surface of Duna, and like the Kerbal animations and the little footstep sounds. It's like, yeah, there's just so much potential here for it to be a really good game. And I know we've all been kind of a bit worried about, will it be No Man's Skied, or will it be Anthemed, in terms of, will it just, you know, development just stop, or will it actually see things through to the end? And I'm really optimistic that the Force Science announcement is a good step, or a good indication that the game is definitely going to see development all the way through, or at the very least, you know, leapfrog where KSP1 currently is. I think a big feature that I don't see get talked about very much is the EVA construction. I'm really surprised how much I ended up missing that from KSP1, because EVA construction, you know, I don't know, I really liked that, and I never realized how much I wanted it until it was added, and now it's really hard to not have that anymore. And I feel like it doesn't really play that much of a part in my videos, but when I'm playing the game for fun, it's just, I don't know, it's just nice being able to modify your ship. Like, oh, I put a Science Junior in a weird place, it'd be nice to maybe move that. I can do that. And I'm not expecting that to be a thing in KSP2 for many years, to be honest, but it'd be nice if that ever happened. Or, we end up getting like a mod for it. Like there was a mod for it in KSP1 before it became part of the game, although the mod was obviously not as seamlessly integrated as it was when it was actually integrated into the game. Look at that, all of that rambling, and we're now basically at Duna. We're just approaching its sphere of influence right now. I'm just time warping ahead, and then there we are. We can exit the map screen in just a second, or actually, never mind. I think I'm going to create my maneuver node, yes. Aero braking is for noobs, as we all know. I've brought enough fuel so we can circularize on engine power. And yeah, of course, with KSP2, that's what I mean. KSP2's got so much going for it. Like, the maneuver node takes into account the length of time required for the burn. So I know exactly where to place the maneuver node. So we get a nice circularized Duna orbit in just one burn. And now we can go ahead and time warp down towards our periapsis so we can start doing that burn. And I don't know if it's visible in that shot there, but yeah, it might be. In fact, I didn't actually address this before, but you might have noticed the Communitron on the lander is just floating there and detached. And I tried to fix that by, rebooting the game and doing quick loads and stuff, and it was all to no avail. That thing, unfortunately, would just be levitating away from the craft for the entirety of this mission. So apologies for that. Even though it's not my fault, right? But I'm just saying, apologize. If it lessens the viewer experience, I apologize. Apologize, eh? That's a fun pun, isn't it? Because, of course, this is an Apollo-style mission. I feel like I said that earlier and then didn't actually clarify what that meant in case anyone was confused. Basically, it's like an Apollo-style mission in that we have a mothership that sends a separate lander down to the surface of Duna. Obviously, in the case of Apollo, it was the Apollo command module sent down the two-seat lander down to the surface of the moon. And yeah, that's what we're doing here, basically. We have a separate lander, separate mothership, all fun. And of course, the lander is two-seater, just like the Apollo landers. But I'd say it's actually got more in common with the Blue Origin Human Landing System lander, because you've got the engine at the bottom, then you got the crew module, then you got the fuel tanks on top, which is something I've actually been enjoying doing with my landers recently. So thank you, Blue Origin. Now, before descending down to the surface, I wanted to have one more attempt at trying to fix that floating antenna. So I did a quick save and a quick load. Wait for it. As you can see, it made everything worse, and now the whole craft is falling apart. So I rebooted the game, and as you can see, the glitch is now fixed. Wow, was that for a cool little transition, eh? So yeah, now it's just a case of getting our crew members, transfer them through the methane tank. Whoops! Yeah, detaching the docking ports, a little bit precarious. They seem to still catapult vessels apart rather than just, undock normally. For want of a better phrase. So, yeah, the whole ship phasing apart has been fixed, but of course the Communitron floating there has not been fixed. So, I don't know, I'll take my wins when I can. So, apologize. I've already said this, that it's going to be there for the rest of the video. Just reaffirming that, basically. And doesn't this, I don't know if this is like confirmation bias now or whatever, but it does look like Duna's atmosphere looks really, really nice. I know it's not just sunsets and sunrises that have been tweaked, but the whole atmosphere across the board has been tweaked and shown some love by BlackRack. And I must say, it looks very, very nice as we descend down through the atmosphere. I noticed that big crater, actually, just sort of to the north of our location, which you might have seen during our descent, looked very, very interesting. I'm really looking forward to the day when propellers become a thing in this game. I know you can kind of cheese it like you could in KSP 1 prior to the Breaking Ground DLC, but it'd be nice to get some proper propeller engines for exploring places like Eve and Duna, where jets don't work, but, propellers potentially would. And we can explore some of the more interesting geological features of the surface of Duna. But there we are, we have touched down on the surface of Duna. A little bit of a glitch there, as we get Jebediah Kerman out on EVA. Is that Jeb? Yeah, it is Jeb. I've got Jeb and Tim C. Kerman. The easy way of telling if you got Tim C. or not is because Tim C. Kerman has a unique hairstyle. He's the only one that has it. And there we are, there's a nice atmosphere. Oh, another little jump from the lander there. We can name our site Duna Yay. Why not? I'm a fun-loving individual, as you all know. And there we are. Jeb does his little dance. And then we can get Tim C. Kerman out on EVA to join him. And then we can marvel at the Duna sunset. Will it be blue like it should be? Vote now on your phones. Let's go and have a look. I always do this. I say, let's do it now, and then the footage is not actually ready to be doing that yet. But, oh, the UI has been disabled. I am messing around with the camera angle, which means I'm either looking for a thumbnail shot or we're doing it. Here we go. Let's, there, it's a bit, there we are. Aha! As you can see, we have blue light scatter as the sun sets on the surface of Duna, just as the nature intended. So there we are. Hats off to BlackRack. And yes, I've been told, I haven't seen it for myself, but I believe these people, I trust them, that Eve has a green sunset, which is what it should be if it were a real planet in the real solar system. So yeah, and BlackRack, I have heard, is just getting started. And there's going to be more significant, I don't know now at this point, but I think there's going to be some more big atmospheric upgrades shipped with the Force Science update, which is next month. Can you believe it? 2023 is nearly over. What a year it's been. KSP 2 came out. I think back to like February when I was being flown off to Amsterdam to play the game for the first time to where we are now. It has been, it's had its rocky moments, has 2023, but what a year it's been. And I'm hoping that as, KSP 2 continues to receive updates and becomes a good game, it'll be nice. It'll be fun. We can have a fun old time. But in the meantime, I'll make little videos like this just to explore kind of new features. But otherwise, we'll kind of do some more modded KSP 1 videos. You got any mod suggestions? You guys have left me loads of mod suggestions. Don't leave me any more mod suggestions. I can't. And I'm gonna make another video about my big controller that I built for KSP 1 and then didn't make any videos of it since. Although I feel like the controller I kind of was more for me. It's not for doing like missions and flying really accurately for the sake of a YouTube video. Keyboard and mouse is kind of the way to go. Those kinds of controllers, you don't buy them because they are the superior way of playing the game. They are just like it just makes the game more fun. But it kind of makes the game more tricky, if that makes sense. So when I'm filming YouTube videos, that's why it's obvious I'm using a keyboard and mouse, because I kind of need that high precision. And when I'm playing for fun, it's just so fun to turn a key to start the thing. So I love it, and I've actually upgraded it. It's bigger now, so I'm going to make a video about that at some point. So look forward to all of that. I don't know why I'm teasing future videos whilst this video hasn't even wrapped up. In fact, the most significant part of the mission, all of our Duna surface activities, selecting our mothership as the target and then launching again, I just didn't even talk about at all. So I apologize for that. Lots of apologies in this video, aren't there? But that's just what you get with this channel, I suppose. But yeah, speaking of, the whole KSP 2 launch to where we are now subject, we'll just finish that quickly. I had decided to do a little bit of game preservation, if you will. So on Steam, you can actually change your game's version. So if you don't like a certain upgrade or an update to a game, or, the update broke all your mods and you want to use those mods, you want to go back to the previous version, just at least until those mods are updated themselves, you can do that. And I suddenly thought it would be really cool to have preserved on my hard drive the very first version of Kerbal Space Program 2. The first version that came out day one, that little disaster that happened, where the Kerbal Space Center follows you to orbit and among other big things. I thought it'd be cool to maybe in 5 or 6 years, or maybe I'll run out of ideas in the next 6 months and then do it then. It'd be cool to kind of try and do a mission in the very first version of Kerbal Space Program 2. Just so that, again, it's a free video idea, firstly, but also it's a good test of skill and perseverance and mental hardiness, I guess. And also it'll be a good showcase of seeing just how far we've come. Because I think one of the things we have in KSP 2 is the fact that, there's been all these patches, but nothing's really changing, and it's all been small upgrades. And yeah, the game still has glitches. This video has showcased a great many of those glitches. But I think if we were to compare even where we are now versus the release state of the game, it would be pretty night and day. So it'd be cool to kind of see after, had a couple of roadmap updates, going back to the first version of the game, seeing how things compared. So that's a little video idea I've got cooking there. If you've got any ideas of fun ways in which we can explore the jankiness of KSP 2 version 1, I'm all ears in the comments. But I think I'm just going to let that video idea cook for a bit. But the reason I've kind of backed it up, because I kind of worry that eventually it might just get removed from the Steam beta options. So on Steam, you right click the game and then there's a tab that says betas, and then you can choose which version of the game you want to be running if you don't want to be running the most up-to-date version. And I'm worried at some point that version might just get removed from Steam. But now it's backed up forever. And of course, KSP2 and KSP1 are DRM free, so it will always run. So I made a couple of copies, backed them up. So I've got that now in my little arsenal of videos to do when I don't have any ideas for a given week, I guess. Another video idea I had, and this is probably like not really good enough for the main channels. This could be like potentially a YouTube members or Patreon exclusive video. So I can sign up to either of those using the links below if you want to help support what I do here. But yeah, at the ESA event where we played KSP2 for the first time, I didn't just create I think I made 3 videos that week of using the footage I captured at the ESA event. But I didn't just record like 3 lots of video. I just recorded one giant like 3.5 hour long video, complete with like my live commentaries in there, me like live reacting to the game, which I then sort of split up and edited into 3 videos. But I still have that big, single block 3-hour long video, and I never really did anything with that. So I might just upload the entire thing as one massive 3.5 hour video, so you guys can see me playing the game for the very first time. You get my live reactions. Obviously, I'm trying to like ham things up for the camera, like, hey guys, here I am in Amsterdam. But it is my genuine very first time playing the game. And yeah, I think that might be kind of a cool thing to do, but I don't know if it's really mainstream enough of a thing for me to put on the main channel. I feel like that's more of a Patreon channel member type thing, you know, a whole behind the scenes exclusive look and very long form, which is not kind of content that is rewarded very much on YouTube. Kind of the shorter videos are what's rewarded. I tried watching a Mr. Beast video, and it's like 20 seconds passed and he's changed country 3 times and the music has changed 70 times. It's crazy. So you just, I guess, fast-paced content is rewarded. I mean, I'm not hating on Mr. Beast, by the way. The guy seems he deserves all of his success. I'm just saying. I look at what's successful. I'm like, oh my gosh, I've like literally had a seizure just watching this. So yeah. And then obviously you got my content, which is just me rambling about, you know, backing up a broken game on my hard drive that lasted about like 5 minutes, that conversation. And I don't talk about what's happening on screen either. But what is happening, we left Duna, and in fact we have a Kerbin encounter. Well, we have a Kerbin Sphere of Influence encounter. We don't have a Kerbin Atmospheric encounter, which is what I'm plotting here. You can get encounters like this in just one burn from Duna orbit, but I just find that even in KSP2, the maneuver node planner is not as good at predicting such high levels of accuracy. So I do one burn just to get an intercept with the sphere of influence I want. Then I'll just do a course correction burn to actually fine tune it and get the actual orbit that I want, which in this case is a kind of a fairly low periapsis. It's a shame that you can't actually see how high your periapsis is until you're in that planet's sphere of influence. So I just eyeballed it, and it turned out it was all right. As you can see, we are now in Kerbin's sphere of influence, and you can see how high or low, I guess, our periapsis is. You might also notice that once again the craft, namely the engines, have started to phase apart again, and actually it's affected the center of thrust. It's not a pure visual glitch, it's actually offset, so I can't do any burns now, which is it's a good thing the periapsis was a good height then. I don't know, I felt like this was a glitch from like ages ago that's been fixed for ages, and it's just come back. Has it just come back in the latest patch? Is it just me that's experiencing this, or has this just always been a thing and I've just like managed to block it out as background noise because of all the other glitches in KSP2? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below, and of course that's pretty much the video wrapping up, in fact. Although, we do need to showcase this, don't we? The atmosphere within the atmosphere. I think, have the volumetric clouds been fixed for this patch, or is that coming up? Either way, doesn't the atmosphere look nice? That sunset, mwah, beautiful. And I'll tell you what else is beautiful, guys. All the names on the left-hand side of the screen right there. They're, of course, my Patrons and YouTube channel members, and it's their generous support that allows me to come making this content for all of you guys. If you want to see your name in lights on the left there, you know how to sign up using the links below. All that stupid new, I'm still not over that, you know, that stupid new black and white Patreon logo. Oh, what were they thinking? Anyway, that's the end of my video, and I'll see you in the next one. Is it going to splash? There we are, we splashed down. You guys couldn't see probably because it's covered by the end cards, but you get it.